My wife cheated with 8 men. Our daughter served her the divorce papers. Hey Reddit. I've been lurking here for a while but never thought I'd be the one posting. This still doesn't feel real. I'm not even sure if I'm looking for advice anymore, maybe just a place to get this out of my system. It's long. It's messy. And it still hurts like hell. My wife, let's call her Megan, and I have been together for 14 years. Married for 11. We have 3 kids together, 2 daughters, 16 and 12, and a little boy who just turned 7. For most of those years, I honestly believed we were happy. Sure, we had the usual ups and downs. Who doesn't? But I was the guy who genuinely thought we'd grow old together. I worked hard, never cheated, never raised a hand, and always put my family first. But something changed over the past year. Megan got distant. I chalked it up to stress. She started staying out late, claiming it was girls' nights or wine nights at Kim's house. Sometimes she came back giggling and overly friendly, sometimes she was cold and snappy. I didn't push at first. I trusted her. That trust feels like a sick joke now. The first real red flag came on our anniversary, November 3rd. I surprised her with dinner reservations and a hotel room. She said she couldn't make it because she had to help her sister move. Her sister lives in Florida. We're in Michigan. When I asked how that was supposed to work, she rolled her eyes and said I was being clingy and insecure. I let it go. God, I hate myself for that. Over the next few months, she got worse. Constantly glued to her phone, always turning it face down when I walked in. She started locking it, something she never used to do. When I asked about it, she said it was to keep the kids from messing it up. The kids never even touched her phone. I should have seen it. I should have wanted to see it. But when you love someone, your brain does all these gymnastics to avoid the obvious. I told myself she was just tired, or overwhelmed, or maybe even depressed. I made excuses for her while she was out screwing half the damn zip code. I didn't find out all at once. The truth trickled in like poison, and the deeper I dug, the sicker I got. And then, well, everything exploded. But I'll save that for. So yeah, things weren't sitting right. After the anniversary lie, I started paying more attention. Nothing crazy, just noting little things. Her scent would change randomly, like expensive cologne, stuff I don't wear. She started showering as soon as she got home from her girls' nights, and not the casual kind of shower either, like borderline scrubbing her skin off showers. She also started accusing me of cheating out of nowhere. Classic projection, right? She'd pick fights about text messages from my coworkers. I manage a team of 18 people, half of them women. Suddenly a message about a budget update became, "Why is Stephanie texting you smiley faces?" At this point, my gut was screaming at me, but my heart wasn't ready. I wanted so badly for this to be a rough patch. I even suggested cancelling. She scoffed at it, said I was being dramatic and paranoid. Told me I needed to man up and stop acting like a victim. That one stung. But the moment everything really started unraveling was one random Tuesday night. I picked up her phone while she was in the shower, just to check the time. As soon as I touched it, a notification popped up from a name I didn't recognize, Derek, Jim. The message read, "Last night was insane. Can't stop thinking about you and that red thing." Red thing. I walked straight to the laundry room, dug through the hamper, and found it, a red lace bodysuit I had never seen before in my life. Still had the tag on it. I didn't say anything that night. I couldn't. I just sat on the couch after the kids went to bed and stared at the wall for hours. My chest felt like it was caving in. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just stress. This wasn't emotional distance. Megan was cheating. And not just once. The way she'd been acting, how comfortable she was lying, I knew this went deeper than a single guy named Derek. And that's when I decided to stop playing nice. I bought a couple of mini security cameras the next day. Installed one in the living room, one in the hallway, one pointing at the front door. She had no clue. I didn't sleep the night I set up the cameras. I just lay there next to her, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe like nothing was wrong, like she wasn't burning our family to the ground in secret. Over the next few days, I acted normal. Took the kids to school, went to work, made dinner, laughed at dumb TV shows with her. But inside, I was boiling. Watching the cameras became part of my routine. I'd review the footage every night after she went to bed. The first 2 nights, nothing. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Derek was some creep texting her and she didn't respond. Maybe, God help me, I was actually just being paranoid. And then Friday happened. She told me she was going to see a movie with the girls. Left around 7:15. Kissed me on the cheek, told me not to wait up. As soon as the door closed, I turned on the live feed. She didn't even make it 15 minutes before a guy showed up. Tall, fit, early 30s maybe. I'd never seen him before in my life. He didn't knock. He used a key. A freaking key. I watched him walk into my home like it was nothing, toss his shoes off, and head straight to the kitchen. He poured himself a drink from my bottle of whiskey, then sprawled on the couch like he'd done this 100 times. 10 minutes later, Megan came back. Dressed to the nines in something way too tight to be comfortable for any movie. She sat on his lap. Kissed him. I'm talking deep, sloppy, tongue everywhere kissing. Like teenagers in heat. I slammed my laptop shut so hard I thought I cracked the screen. I nearly threw up right there in the living room. But I didn't cry. Not yet. Something inside me clicked, like a switch got flipped. I backed up the footage and emailed it to a private folder I made. Then I started digging. I checked our joint bank account. Lyft charges, liquor store runs, lingerie receipts, none of it for me. I found another guy's name on a hotel booking from 2 weeks earlier. Then another guy's flirty text on her iPad, which synced automatically to our family cloud. 8 men. 8. I felt like I was losing my mind. She wasn't just cheating, she was building a second life right under my nose. The worst part. Our kids were in that house. Watching cartoons in the other room while their mom played house with random men. That's when I knew it couldn't be just me who saw this. They deserved the truth too, even if it shattered them. I knew I couldn't keep this to myself much longer. My stomach was constantly twisted. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus. I was snapping at the kids for no reason and pretending everything was fine when inside I was rotting. I spoke to a lawyer first. Quietly. I showed him the footage and the messages. He didn't say much, just nodded and said, "This will be over fast." Michigan's a no-fault divorce state, but the evidence? That would help with custody. I wasn't about to let someone who brought strange men into my kids' lives have unsupervised time with them. Not after what I saw. But before I served her, I needed my kids to understand why this was happening. And yeah, I know some of you will say I should have shielded them, but let me explain. Our oldest, Emily, is 16. Sharp as hell. She already suspected something. She told me once, "Mom's always out lately. It's like she doesn't even want to be here anymore." That one cut deep. I'd been trying to protect them from it, but clearly, they already felt it. So I sat all 3 down the next night. I kept it simple at first: "There's something going on with Mom, and I want you to be prepared for what's coming." Emily asked if she was cheating. I didn't even get a word out before she burst into tears. She already knew. I asked if they wanted to see the truth or just be told. Emily demanded to see it. My 12-year-old sat beside her, clutching a pillow. Even my 7-year-old just looked confused but quiet. I didn't show them everything, just enough. Enough for them to understand this wasn't just "Mom made a mistake." This was betrayal. Emily didn't cry again. She hardened. Like a light went off inside her. She said, she doesn't deserve to be here anymore. She's the one who asked if she could hand Megan the divorce papers when it was time. I hesitated. But she insisted. Then came the night Megan walked in, completely unaware of the storm she was about to walk into. The moment I'll never forget. It was a Saturday night. Megan had told me earlier she was going to a friend's birthday party, one I knew didn't exist. I had already packed up all her things that morning while she was out getting her nails done. Bags lined up by the front door. Every item. Every piece of her double life, gone from our bedroom. The cameras were still rolling. I had them all synced and ready. At 11:42 p.m., she walked through the front door. Laughing. Keys jingling. Her heels clicking across the hardwood like nothing was wrong. She was glowing. Hair perfect. Makeup fresh. Wearing a dress I had never seen before. That smug, post-party grin plastered on her face. My unfaithful wife walked in after her secret party, grinning, completely oblivious to the fact that everything was about to come crashing down. I was sitting in the living room with our 3 kids, laptop open on the coffee table. Emily sat on one side of me, shaking. My youngest was curled up under a blanket, not totally understanding. My 12-year-old gripped the armrest like she was bracing for a crash. Megan stopped when she saw us. Her smile faltered. "What's going on?" I didn't say a word. I just turned the laptop toward her and hit play. Footage started rolling. Her and Derek. Her giggling while straddling him on our couch. Our couch. She gasped, stumbling back a step. Her mouth dropped open, eyes darting around, like she was hoping this was some prank. That's when Emily stood up. Hands trembling. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out the divorce papers. "You're no longer our mother," she said, voice barely holding steady. "You have 30 minutes to gather your things and leave. We're ashamed to share your name." Megan just stood there, stunned. Frozen like a deer in headlights. And then I hit play on the second video. This one showed her with a different man. Not Derek. Some guy in a hotel room. Her laughing while drinking champagne straight from the bottle. Her saying, "He has no clue, poor idiot. I'm bored as hell with him." That's when she collapsed to her knees. Literally. Like her legs gave out. "I can explain," she started. "Please, just let me talk." But it was too late. Everything was exposed. And the fallout. It was only beginning. She stayed on her knees for a good 10 seconds, just staring at the laptop screen like it had punched her in the face. Then, suddenly, the waterworks turned on. Like someone flipped a switch. "I can explain, I swear, just listen to me," she sobbed, crawling toward the couch like we were in some melodramatic soap opera. "It didn't mean anything. It was just a phase, I wasn't thinking straight." Emily stepped back like Megan was radioactive. "Don't touch me." The 2 younger kids didn't say a word. My son just buried his head in my shoulder. My 12-year-old had tears in her eyes, but she wouldn't look at her mother. Not once. I stayed calm. Too calm. I think that rattled her more than if I'd screamed. I said, "You had your fun, Megan. You lit the house on fire and now you're upset the smoke's choking you." And just like that, she flipped. The fake tears stopped mid-sentence. "You've always been distant," she snapped, her tone suddenly venomous. "You're boring, you don't get me. All you care about is work and the kids and that stupid lawn." I almost laughed. "The lawn? That's what we're doing now?" I let her rant. She went off about how I never made her feel alive, how the house felt like a prison, how I was the reason she needed an outlet. 8 outlets, apparently. Then she turned it around. "You're poisoning the kids against me. What kind of father lets them watch this? You're abusive for doing this to them." That one almost got me. For a split second, I questioned myself. But Emily shut it down. You did this to yourself, she snapped. You brought strangers into our home and lied to all of us. You ruined everything. Megan stood up, shaking now, angry, not sad. I'm still their mother. You can't just erase me. You erased yourself the moment you turned this house into a brothel, I said. Calm. Measured. Done. I handed her a trash bag and nodded toward the front door. You have 18 minutes left. She looked around like someone might rescue her. No one did. She finally grabbed her bags in silence. Walked upstairs. Slammed the door. And for a moment, I thought she was actually gone. But I was wrong. She left that night with 3 duffel bags, a trash bag full of makeup, and no dignity. No goodbyes. No apologies to the kids. Nothing. Just a slammed front door and the sound of her tires screeching out of the driveway. For the first time in months, the house felt still. Not peaceful, exactly. Just still. Like the chaos had finally walked out. The next morning, I braced for silence. But instead, my phone blew up. First came the texts. I didn't sleep all night. I'm so sorry. Please let me explain. What we had was real. Don't throw it away over mistakes. The kids need their mother. Don't punish them by cutting me out. Then came the voicemails. I didn't listen to most of them. Just deleted as they came. Until one caught my eye. It was 6 minutes long and labeled urgent. Morbid Curiosity 1. In it, she sobbed about how she'd felt invisible for years, how I'd emotionally abandoned her, total lie, and how she only cheated to feel loved again. She had the audacity to say I should have seen it coming. The gaslighting was Olympic level. I ignored it all. I told my lawyer to proceed with the divorce. Full custody, sole ownership of the house, no spousal support. I was done. Then came her comeback stunt. 2 days later, I came home from work and noticed something strange. A candle lit in the hallway. My favorite meal cooking in the kitchen. Soft music playing. The kids were at my parents' for the night, so this wasn't them. I stepped in and there she was. Megan. Sitting at the dining table. Wearing the same red lace bodysuit from the camera footage. Glass of wine in one hand. The most forced smile I'd ever seen. What the hell are you doing in my house? I asked. I wanted to remind you of who we used to be, she purred. I was floored. She broke into the house to try and seduce me, after cheating with 8 men. It was like she believed she could just erase what happened with sex and wine. She stood up, tried to touch my chest. I stepped back and told her flatly, "You have 30 seconds to walk out or I'm calling the cops." She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and said, "You're making a mistake. No one's going to love you the way I did." I laughed, actually laughed. "You're right. I'm counting on that." She left again. This time, I changed the locks. I thought that would be the end of it. I really did. She'd try to weasel her way back in with her little seduction attempt, and I'd shut her down. Locking her out felt like I'd drawn the final line in the sand. But Megan wasn't done. No, she had something bigger planned, something that made the whole situation even more humiliating. A few days after their seduction stunt, I got a notification on my phone. It was a post from Megan's Facebook account. She tagged me in it, and the caption read, "This is my husband. I'd been cheating on him for months with multiple men. We're getting a divorce because he's boring. But please, let me just say, I'm sorry. I messed up. Don't hate me. I just wanted to feel alive." I stared at the screen for a good minute. I thought maybe I was hallucinating. Was she seriously airing our dirty laundry like that? Was this her big reveal? Did she think she was going to gain sympathy? The post went viral. I kid you not. All her friends, all my family, hell, even people I barely knew started commenting. "You deserve better than this. I'm so sorry for you. stay strong. She wasn't good enough for you anyway. I felt like I was suffocating in my own life. The comments were supportive of me, but in a way, they made everything feel so much more public, like everyone in our small town now knew the filthy truth. I tried to keep my cool. I called my lawyer. This was definitely going to affect the custody battle, but I couldn't let her get away with this stunt. But here's where the real kicker came in. Megan started accusing me of being abusive in the comments. She claimed I'd controlled her for years, that I manipulated her into staying in the marriage. She even went as far as to say I'd forced her to cheat because I wasn't emotionally available. She twisted the narrative so badly, I almost thought I'd gone mad. I let her dig her own grave. That night, I gathered the kids in front of me. Emily was shaking with rage. My son was still too young to fully understand, but he knew something was off. I showed them the post. I didn't say anything, just let them see it for themselves. Emily stood up and said, "She's not going to win, Dad. We know the truth. We know you're the one who didn't deserve this." Then, in the same breath, she turned to me and said, "I'll take care of her, don't worry. The kids will be safe." Megan was still spiraling, but I wasn't. I had my kids, I had the truth, and I was about to win this war in the most painful but inevitable way. Megan's meltdown after the Facebook post didn't stop. It only got worse. When she wasn't posting public apologies and accusing me of controlling her life, she was blowing up my phone with angry texts and rage-filled voicemails. But this time, it was different. She wasn't apologizing. No, now she was in full-on attack mode. I woke up one morning to find a long text from her, sent at 3 a.m, "You ruined me. You know how hard it is to be in a marriage with someone who makes you feel invisible? You're just as bad as all the men you hate. And now the whole world knows what a piece of shit you are." I stared at my phone, trying not to let the anger consume me. But then I saw the second text. "I'm not the only one to blame, you know. You forced me to lie. You were always at work. You didn't care enough. You let me get lost in all these men, and now you want to turn the kids against me. You're disgusting." She was flipping the script in real time. She couldn't handle the fact that people were starting to see her for who she really was. So instead of taking responsibility, she shifted it all onto me, making herself out to be the victim. In her twisted logic, I had made her cheat because I was emotionally unavailable, and because I worked too much. But the most insane part. She started telling people that I was the one who had been unfaithful, that I'd been hiding affairs and had been their bad husband all along. And she didn't just stop there. She started calling up my friends and family members, trying to smear my name. My brother, who I hadn't talked to much since the whole mess started, called me one night. His tone was stiff. "Listen, man. Megan's saying some stuff that's really starting to worry people. She's telling everyone that you cheated first, that you just didn't care about the family. I don't know what's going on, but you need to fix this. For the kids' sake." I couldn't believe it. She was trying to destroy me through anyone she could manipulate. I knew then that I had to draw the line. Megan wasn't just going to hurt me. She was going after everything: my kids, my reputation, my sanity. I hired a private investigator. The goal wasn't just to collect more evidence, it was to make sure she couldn't twist the narrative any further. What I found out made me sick. She wasn't just trying to ruin my life. She had started contacting her affair partners again, planning to move in with one of them. She had already started looking for a new home. But the more she spun her lies, the more my resolve hardened. The story I had been trying to protect from the kids, the truth of what was really happening, was slowly starting to spill out to everyone who mattered. I wasn't going to be dragged into her mess anymore. And that's when she made the final mistake. It's funny how people can convince themselves they are invincible when they are on a streak of lies and manipulation. Megan had spent weeks digging herself deeper and deeper into a pit of her own making, thinking she could somehow control the outcome of everything. But the more she pushed, the more she exposed herself. It all came to a head when Megan made the worst possible decision she could have made. She tried to pull the kids into her mess. I remember it clearly. One Saturday morning, the kids were with me at my mom's place, and I was on my way to pick them up. I got a text from Megan. "The kids don't want to see you anymore. I'm taking them away. You'll never get full custody." It was a cold, almost threatening message. She had crossed the line, and I was done. I didn't respond right away. I kept my cool, called my lawyer, and started making plans. But then the phone rang. My youngest, Adam, was on the other end, his voice shaky. "Dad. Mom said she's taking us to a hotel, and we're going to stay there for a while. She said we can't come back until you apologize for everything." My heart sank. I asked to talk to Megan. She picked up, and for the first time in this entire ordeal, she sounded frantic. "You can't take them from me, not after everything I've done for you. If you go to court, I'll make sure you lose. I cut her off. "Enough, Megan. I'm not going to let you play these games anymore. You've already lost. You're not using the kids as leverage. I'm filing for full custody today." That's when she started to crack. It wasn't anger anymore, it was panic. "You don't understand. You're the one who's been a bad father. You'll never win. I've already told everyone you're abusive. They'll believe me, not you." But it was too late. I knew then that I had the upper hand. The evidence I had, photos, messages, recordings, was more than enough. I wasn't just fighting for my own reputation now. I was fighting for the kids, for their safety, for their future. I wasn't going to let her drag them into this any longer. That afternoon, I went to court. It wasn't the full hearing yet, but I filed for emergency custody. And Megan? She tried to show up in court, but she couldn't even get a foot in the door without being confronted by a pile of paperwork. The lawyer I hired had pulled everything: text records, photos, even the recordings I had of her trying to manipulate me and lie to the kids. Megan had no case. No defense. The judge took one look at the evidence, then another glance at her, sitting there in her pathetic, "I've been wronged" posture. Then he turned to me and said, "You'll have full custody of the children until further notice." Megan couldn't even argue. She just sat there, pale, eyes wide with disbelief. She had played all her cards, and she had nothing left. The next few weeks were a blur. Megan fought back. She hired a new lawyer, filed for visitation, and even tried to accuse me of parental alienation, because apparently, accusing the father of telling the truth is now a crime. But the tide had turned. The kids were with me now, permanently. She was fighting a losing battle. And her final attempt at damage control. She posted one last thing on social media, claiming that I was brainwashing the children and turning them against their mother. But it was too late for that too. The people who mattered, the ones who truly knew us, saw the truth. She'd lost all credibility. Megan had played every dirty card in the deck: lies, manipulation, public slander, weaponizing the kids, and now she was out of ammo. The court's decision hit her like a brick to the face: full temporary custody to me, no visitation without supervision, and a psychological evaluation required before she could request any changes. She was furious. She sent me this unhinged email the night after court. "Congratulations. You turned my own children against me and made me look insane. You'll pay for this. Just remember, I was your wife. You don't get to erase me like I was nothing." I didn't respond. I archived it and forwarded it to my lawyer. Every threat she sent became more evidence against her. It was almost sad, watching her spiral, almost. Then the real fallout began. People she had once fooled, friends, co-workers, her own sister, started reaching out to me. Not to apologize necessarily, but to admit they had no idea how deep her betrayal went. One of her oldest friends, Lisa, even said, "I cut her off after I saw the footage. I can't believe she blamed you. She's been lying to all of us for years. She burned every bridge, and now she was standing in the ashes, wondering why no one was coming to help her. The kids, though, they were healing. Emily, my oldest, started therapy and slowly began smiling again. She even started volunteering at a local youth center, said she wanted to help kids going through family trauma. My middle daughter, who hadn't spoken much through this whole mess, asked me if she could change her last name legally, to drop her mom's name completely. I didn't even know how to respond to that. Just hugged her and said we'd figure it out. Megan wasn't done trying, though. About a week later, she showed up outside the house. She wasn't screaming or causing a scene. She just stood there. For over an hour. Holding a cardboard sign that read, "Let me see my babies. I'm still their mother." It was pathetic. It wasn't even for us, it was for attention. Neighbors saw. Some even took photos. She wanted sympathy, a spectacle, another chance to spin her version of the truth. I called the cops. They told her to leave. She didn't argue. Just walked off down the street like she had nowhere left to go. And honestly, I think that was true. She'd torched her family, her friendships, her dignity, and now she was finally realizing she was alone. The day the divorce was finalized felt surreal. After months of chaos, lies, betrayal, and emotional whiplash, it all came down to 2 signatures and a quiet courtroom. Megan showed up late, looking like a shadow of herself, puffy eyes, hair a mess, wearing the same coat she used to flaunt during her secret party nights. She didn't even make eye contact. When the judge asked us both if we understood the terms and agreed, she mumbled, "Yeah." I said yes, loud and clear. And just like that, it was over. Legally, at least. I should have felt triumphant. But honestly, I just felt drained. Like I had spent every ounce of emotional energy digging my way out of a grave someone else shoved me into. We walked out of the courthouse separately. No words. No final argument. Just silence. And then, the twist. As I'm walking to my car, Megan comes jogging after me. For a split second, I thought she was going to cause a scene. But she stopped a few feet away, panting like she ran on desperation alone. "I need to tell you something," she said. I didn't respond. Just crossed my arms and waited. She looked down at the pavement, then back up at me with tears already forming. "I'm pregnant." I swear, the world stopped spinning for a second. I stared at her, completely still. "Is it mine?" She hesitated. And that was enough of an answer. "No," she whispered. "I think it's Marcus's. Or maybe Jason's. I'm not sure." Marcus and Jason. 2 of the 8 men from the footage. I didn't even speak. Just blinked. She kept going, like she needed to get it out before I walked away. "I don't know what to do," she said. "I can't raise a baby alone. I don't have anyone. I'm scared." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You weren't scared when you were screwing half the town behind my back. You made your bed, Megan. You don't get to cry now because it's uncomfortable." She didn't even try to argue. Just stood there sobbing in the parking lot as I got in my car and drove away. I didn't look back. That night, I sat with my kids and told them the divorce was official. Emily exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for months. My middle daughter hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. And Adam just said, "Does this mean she can't come back?" I nodded. It means she doesn't control our lives anymore. And for the first time in forever, I felt peace. After everything, the lies, the courtroom battles, the emotional whiplash, something strange happened. The house felt quiet. But not the kind of quiet that's lonely. It was the kind that felt like relief. Like the moment after a storm when everything's still soaked, but the clouds finally break and the sun dares to peek through. The kids and I started rebuilding, slowly. Little routines formed. Sunday pancakes. Movie nights. Walks around the neighborhood without glancing over our shoulders. Emily took over making the grocery lists. My middle daughter, who barely spoke for months, started drawing again. And Adam. He laughed for the first time in what felt like years. That small, goofy, belly laughs that only a 6-year-old can pull off. It hit me like a punch in the heart. We were healing. Not fast. Not perfectly. But genuinely. Then came the awkward part. The world kept moving. Friends started asking me if I was going to put myself out there again. One guy at work even tried to set me up with his cousin. I wasn't there yet. Hell, I wasn't sure I'd ever be there again. But I appreciated the thought. Then, about 3 weeks after the divorce was finalized, I got a letter. Like, an actual paper letter. No return address. Just a single page folded into an envelope. It was from Megan. She wrote, "I know you'll never forgive me. And I don't expect to be part of the kids' lives again. I just want you to know, I see it now. I destroyed something I'll never get back. You were never the villain. I was. I'm sorry for making you question your worth. I'm sorry for what I did to our family. I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. I just sat with it. Let the words sit heavy in my chest. Because here's the truth, apologies don't erase damage. They don't undo the nights I sat alone in the living room wondering what I did wrong, or erase the image of my daughter handing her mother divorce papers with shaking hands. They don't give the kids their innocence back. But I appreciated it. In a weird way. That letter went in a drawer. Not out of sentiment, but as proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy. That everything I'd endured was real, and that I'd survived it. Now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I joined a support group for single parents. I picked up guitar again, something Megan used to mock me for. The kids and I are even planning a road trip this summer. Just us, a beat-up SUV, and the open road. No drama. No surveillance footage. No lies. Just peace. You don't walk away from a disaster like that without scars. Some are obvious: legal papers, therapy bills, kids who flinch at raised voices. Others are quiet, hidden in the way you second-guess compliments or hesitate before trusting anyone again. But if there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's this. Listen to your gut. I ignored mine for years. Every time Megan would suddenly need a girls' night, with no details, every time she'd come home smelling like someone else's cologne and laugh it off, my gut screamed. But I wanted to believe the version of her I married. Not the one I was living with. That cost me everything. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. I used to think that sacrificing for your marriage meant losing sleep, taking blame, biting your tongue. I now realize that's not sacrifice, that's self-erasure. There's a difference between compromise and surrender. I surrendered way too much. I'll never do that again. Your kids see everything. Even when you think you're hiding the pain, even when you smile through clenched teeth, they know. I'll never forget the day my daughter looked at her mother and said, "We're ashamed to share your name." That wasn't just teenage drama. That was the sound of years of betrayal breaking through. She deserved better. They all did. You cannot fix someone who refuses to be honest. Megan lied to my face every single day. Even when caught red-handed, she still found a way to twist it. You cannot love someone out of deceit. You cannot wait it out and hope they become better. You either demand the truth and enforce boundaries, or you lose yourself trying to save someone who enjoys sinking. And most importantly, you're not weak for walking away. There's a weird stigma, especially for guys, around sticking it out no matter what. Be a man. Keep your family together. Forgive and move on. Screw that. Being a man isn't about taking abuse in silence. It's about standing up when something's deeply wrong and saying, "Not anymore." I used to think divorce was the worst possible outcome. Now I know, staying in a lie is worse. Watching your kids grow up thinking that kind of relationship is normal? Way worse. If you're reading this and you're in a relationship where the math never adds up, where you feel like you're always wrong, always apologizing, always alone even when someone's in the room with you, trust yourself. That voice in your head isn't paranoia. It's survival. This is it, the end of the story. Or maybe, just the beginning of a better one. It's been almost a year since I watched my wife crumble to her knees while my kids and I stared at the truth on a laptop screen. Since then, life has shifted in ways I couldn't have imagined, not always easy, but honest. That's a kind of peace you don't really understand until you've lived in chaos for too long. The kids are doing better than I ever hoped. Emily is applying to colleges now, says she wants to study psychology and help kids from broken homes. She told me, "I don't want anyone to feel as helpless as I did." That hit hard. But it also made me proud. My middle one, quiet, artistic, strong as hell, started writing and illustrating a little book about how to survive when adults fall apart. She's only 12. And Adam. He asked me the other day if we could build a treehouse this summer. No mention of Megan. No sadness. Just excitement. As for me, I'm okay. Some days I still wake up and expect to hear her voice in the kitchen. Some nights I replay old fights in my head and wonder if I could have done more, seen it earlier, fought harder. But those thoughts are like background noise now. Faint. Manageable. I'm not rushing back into dating. I've got too much rebuilding to do, inside. But I'm hopeful. That version of me that Megan tried to gaslight into submission? Is gone. What's left is someone I'm finally proud of. A man who fought for his kids, stood in the fire, and came out whole. Would I wish this on anyone? No. Would I take any of it back? Also no. Because it taught me who I am, who my kids are, and how damn strong we can be when the world tries to break us. So if you're reading this and you're where I was, stuck in a pit of lies, gaslighting, and betrayal, just know there's a way out. It's painful. It's messy. But it's worth it. You'll lose people. You'll lose pieces of yourself. But you'll find truth. You'll find peace. And most importantly, you'll find you again. That's the real ending. Thanks for reading. Take care of yourselves, and don't ignore the signs. You deserve better. We all do.